We are back. It is Mahala Monday. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Our second episode, Rhoda.
That is right. Second episode for the morning. That's so right.
Yeah, it is really good being with you here on a Mahala Monday today, and thank you so much for joining us. We are live on YouTube and on Facebook, and of course, this is an interactive show, so we'd just like to point that out to you again. We look forward and welcome your comments and questions during this special broadcast that we have for you. So thank you once again for joining us. I hope you are doing very well. I'm assuming you are.
I'm doing very well, Dougal. I'm sorry, but I was getting very cold, so I put on my jersey. It's very cold.
The elements are at play. The elements are at play. And it is important because it kind of brings us to what we want to talk about right now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And, you know, especially what's happening at the moment with COVID and people out there being hungry. And you know what? One of the things we wanted to highlight was the fact that one of our things that we concentrate on is social well-being as well. So this is one of our little legs in Mahala. So this is one of our things that we will be covering this morning.
Yeah. So we're really looking forward to this this program this morning. And as you've pointed out, social well-being being so important. And given the constraints and the time we are in, like you say, you know, the pandemic, and with the pandemic, it is real.
It is real, Dougal. It's so real. And people are hungry out there. And with this cold, it's not helping either. So can you imagine having to be cold and not being being hungry as well, you know? So this is the reality out there.
Yeah. You know what, Rhoda? And there's always people who pick up the baton.
Oh, most definitely.
There's always people who pick it up and try and improve our communities, society at large, and really live by example. And this is where the focus is for today. So we're going to, without further ado, introduce you to our special guest today, because certainly we're living in trying times. We know we're living in challenging times, but there's always those great South Africans who pick up the torch and try and make our society and community a lot bigger. So today our conversation will center around Siyazana Youth Development Fund. And they've been doing amazing work, so we want to find out exactly what it is they do, how they do it, when it all started, and what it is all about, because a lot has been said and heard about Siyazana Youth Development Fund. So first up, it gives us great pleasure then to join us this morning here on Mahala Monday. Ian Miller is joining us. Ian, good morning. Thank you so much for your time, and welcome to the show. Welcome to Mahala Monday, sir.
Good morning, guys, and thanks for having us. It's an honor to be on the show this morning.
Absolutely wonderful to have you with us. You know what? We've heard so many wonderful things about Siyazana, and I must just point that out to you right from the bat. We have heard so many wonderful things.
So
and with that being said, because I know, and we said this in a previous video as well, Siyazana means we know each other. So we know all about you, babies. We know about you.
Yeah, strange how the name came about, though. So
that is true. It's true. So so we were quite teasing, going on about the name. We know each other, and I think, you know what is so beautiful with that name is that South Africa, we all should know each other. We should take an interest in the next person, and that's why I love the name Siyazana.
Can I just explain for a second how we got the name, though?
Almost definitely, go for it.
Because it also speaks about funding in South Africa. When the organization was launched about 4 years ago, if you had an English name, you didn't get funding. So we sat around the table and we were like, oh, okay, now what do we name this organization so that we can be relevant, but also easy to speak about? And we wanted the name to be a catch name. And then someone just said, you know, we all sit in here, we all know each other, we can't even think of a name. And then we Googled, is it Xhosa? We know each other. Is it Zulu? We know each other. And the names kept popping up. And so there is no special reason why we have the name. We thank Google for the name.
So you were a Googler.
So we are Googler, yeah.
So Ian, you're the founder of Siyazana. And you say about 4 years.
Correct. So going back in time, and this only found out when I left school. There's a mental capability called cognitive development. And not much work is being done around it. And when we originally started, it was around cognitive development for early childhood development and for youth development. And I am someone who suffered from it as a child. And I only realized that when I was in my 30s. And basically, it means that your brain doesn't develop on the same level of someone at your age, and it only kicks in at a later stage in life. So it took me almost 16 years to finish school. It took me 10 years to finish my undergrad, but it took me 1 year to finish my postgrad because that's when it kicked in. So basically, we looked at programs where we can help these kids develop through play to become on par with someone who develops what society regards as normal. So that had a personal touch for me, but it's evolved since then. Yeah, so that is where it comes from. And I'm the founder, but I'm also a volunteer. So I do not sit on the board of the organization. I do not get involved with the fund or the expenditure. I recommend expenditure, but I'm not allowed to sign the checks.
Okay.
There's cleverer people than me doing that. So yeah, so that's a bit of background there.
But Ian, that is quite unusual, if I might not say,
most
where the
definitely.
founder of a movement or an organization, as in this case, is not on the board. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, so we wanted to keep the organization independent, and the organization needed to be more than Ian. It needed to be bigger than that. And we felt that the way to keep it independent and to keep people confident in funding us, that I'm the initiators, I'm the founder, but it gives people comfort knowing that I'm not the final decision maker and I'm not the one who asks you for money. So I don't ask Mahala Monday for money. And they also spend the money and sign the checks and decide where it goes. It was vital for us that there was that independence. And to be honest, it kept me sane as well, not having that responsibility of being the one asking for the money and also spending the money.
Okay, makes sense.
It makes sense on so many levels.
And there I'll
Yeah,
take
so we
my
don't-
yeah.
Yeah. So there's words we don't use. We don't use words like corruption. We don't use words like nepotism because people need to be confident if they're donating clothing to you, food
Yeah.
to you, money to you, that it goes to where it needs to be.
Oh yes.
So we are 100% volunteer based. No one in the organization earns a salary. No one in the organization owns a stipend. So if we deliver something in Swellendam, then I have to pay for my own petrol. I have to pay for my own accommodation. The organization doesn't pay for that. And that's the type of ethic we want in the organization. So if you come on board as a volunteer, you understand that is the commitment you get. So all our board members do it on a voluntary basis. All our social media people, all our people in the 14 communities we work, all do it on a voluntary basis and without any form of remuneration.
Wow. So just on that, what is the key mandate of Siyazana then? If I may
Okay,
ask.
so there's a pre-COVID everything and a post-COVID everything.
Let's start off with the pre-COVID.
So when we were founded, we had two mandates. The one was we understood that through the socioeconomic position of the country, educare centers in previously disadvantaged, or what we refer to currently disadvantaged communities, wasn't on par with educare centers in, for argument's sake, Constantia, Fairways, wherever.
Yeah.
And so we went in, we found those educare centers, and we basically equipped them with the tools to become on par with an educare center that's in a more affluential area. So, but we equipped them with play kits where they use play as a mechanism of developing the cognitive development of the child. So that's the one side, early childhood development. And then the other side was youth development, where sadly in South Africa, once you've got a criminal record, you become unemployable. So you get a child who's 14 years old who steals a bread, he's got a criminal record, and corporate South Africa will never employ him. So we develop programs where we teach the kids skills to become entrepreneurs. So we don't want him to become someone that's working for someone. We want him to be able to build a cabinet and sell it.
Yeah.
We want him to be able to paint and become entrepreneurs instead of slaves to a boss.
Yeah.
Those are two pre-COVID mandates.
Sorry,
again?
Ian?
I said that was the two pre-COVID mandates.
Oh,
obviously, COVID changed everything.
They had to be changed, yeah.
Yeah, no, you had to go with the time. So, and how was the mandate then involved into now, the sort of COVID era?
Okay, so when level 5 hit, we found that government closed all the schools and education centers,
Yeah.
which meant that the feeding schemes also closed.
Yeah.
So we were sitting here one day and we got a phone call from one of the education centers telling us that the kids are still coming to the center, even though it's closed, because that's the only place they get food.
Sure.
But because the parents are not sending the kids, they're not paying school fees. We then had a quick Zoom meeting and decided to send food to the education center. The next thing we knew, we were feeding in 13 communities, and till today, we're about to reach our millionth hot meal that we distributed. We distributed over 25,000 of these buffs to children who can't afford it. We distributed over 10,000 PPE kits. The issue with that was that we used all the money because the needs changed to equipping education centers to survival. And because we operate the way we do, it was easy for us to change the mandate because I could have just messaged my board. They answered immediately, mandate changed. There wasn't a lot of complication around that. So currently, we're going back to what we used to do pre-COVID, but we're basically feeding in 14 communities across the Western Cape.
Wow.
And we feed on average, I would say, 2,000 meals per day.
Sure. And that is across all those communities?
Across from Parkwood, Mitchell's Plain, Swellendam, Grabouw, what do you call this place? Vygieskraal, Lansdowne, all across those communities. And like I said, it's all done through a volunteer system.
Sure. And just to put that in perspective, so some of those communities you mentioned there are metropole-based. And then you mentioned Grabouw, you mentioned Swellendam. That is like, a big distance. So, I mean, your footprint is huge. But before we actually ask you in exactly to what it is, how difficult is it where you as an organization to get the buy-in? I suppose when there's a need in a specific community, how difficult is it to get the buy-in of volunteers?
Okay, so again, we operate a bit different because we don't go into a community and dictate what they want. We basically find a community. So let's use Parkwood as an example. We identify the community, we find out who's the leadership in that community, and we work through that leadership forum to get into the community. So that makes the getting of volunteers easy because they don't see you as a threat, they see you as a partner. And when we go in, we also don't go in as Siyazana. So we would go in as the Parkwood Leadership Forum. So, and Siyazana is in the background of that forum. Yeah. So gets the buy-in of the community and the leadership of that specific community. Makes it easier for us.
Yeah.
So we don't threat of gang violence or abduction or people robbing us because they identify us as being part of the community and not coming into the community to dictate to the community.
Yeah,
That
and those
makes
things
a lot
you
of
just
sense.
mentioned there, that is a very real issue. and a very real concern for organizations doing the kind of work that you do.
Yeah. No, it is. And the reality is that many people go out there and the intention is good. But when they get to where they need to feed, just the environment around that scares them.
Yeah.
Whereas if they partner with organizations who work there, it becomes easier because there's almost that safety mechanism in place. Although you always need to be alert, and we're alert about the issues in our communities. But being involved in the leadership forums, you always know, Ian, don't come in today because het gaan 'n bietjie geroek vandag. or give it an hour, let the old school down a bit. So we alert, being made aware of those things before we go in.
Yeah. Ian, I just wanted to go back a bit, and I think what a lot of people are actually at home and they're not aware of the challenges COVID has brought upon us. And I just wanted to basically ask you, the amount of people that's going hungry right now, Ian. You know what? I feel that there's a lot of people, because of the circumstances of COVID, people's lost their jobs, they're unemployed.
Yeah.
You know what? Am I exaggerating? Am I going overboard? Is this something that's really real out there? Because I'm asking you this because you're the person that actually goes out there and you're seeing this. A lot of people don't see this. They sit at home and they're listening to the show, but they're not even aware of this. They've never experienced it. Is it real?
It is real. And what we found as strange in the last 3 weeks, the need has almost become more than level 5. In that, and we don't quite know what it is because we got the perception is put out there that the economy is going on. Yeah, the feeding lines are becoming longer. The need is becoming longer. And because schools have shut down now, it is about to explode again because, again, the feeding schemes have stopped. Although government is saying the feeding schemes is going on, the reality is it's not. When you go to the schools are shut. So the need in the last week, I would say, became worse. On your question about being unemployed, a lot of the people in the communities we work are day laborers or weekly laborers. So when the company shuts down and tell everyone to work from home, those corporate positions are earning full salaries. So in their minds, nothing changed. They forget that the staff who are day laborers and weekly laborers who gets paid for work done is not getting paid. They've become absent to that because their reality hasn't changed.
Yeah.
That is the biggest challenge, is how do you change someone's reality who didn't have to go to the office since March last year, but gets paid full every month,
So true.
still gets their leave, still gets their bonus, still get their increase, that someone else in the neighboring community didn't get money for 13 months. It's like we built a mechanism to blind ourselves to the reality so that we can continue with our lives as if nothing is really happening.
Wow.
This thing, a mask, if you go into most of the communities in which we work, no one wears masks. And we drive in there and we say, look how ignorant this people is. Look how disobedient this people is. But the reality is they don't have the money to buy the mask.
Sure.
So when we go out and we try and raise money for masks, people tell us, but you're being silly because the masks is readily available. But it's not. Because you live in the comfort of your reality.
Here we go.
And you blind yourself to the reality of what's happening in our communities. You just think it is because you got 30 masks laying. Whereas the children in Beacon Valley, in Tafelsig, in those type of areas don't have that privilege.
Yeah. And even if
Sorry,
that...
I'm becoming passionate.
No,
No,
do you know what? It is your passion that is that is the real thing because it is exactly like you say. And even if there's 1 or 2 reusable masks in a home, it's a share situation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It is a share situation. Nobody, let's be honest, there's nobody here who's putting up their hand who says, look, I want COVID. But the reality is, and just to what you are saying is, you are already marginalized. And yes,
Oh,
you've
yes.
seen the queues become bigger. We've all noticed that because we've already been, we have really been to the brink, to the limit of whatever resilience we might have had. And all of a sudden, that 1 week is just that one moment that it will extend that. But Ian, I want to get back to this because it is so important that we sort of don't compartmentalize everything, and that we understand that every situation is unique. But I want to get into the fact that was where you work with the early childhood development, and then you also do youth development.
Correct.
So now, out of the two of those, if you could just give us what you do for youth development, and then I would like to know, and also answer that for me in like a pre-COVID and a COVID sort of perspective.
Yeah. Okay, so like I said, our youth development program is developed around training skills because with what we regard as unemployable youth. So unemployable youth defines someone who's got a criminal record, doesn't have matric, had a previous drug addiction. So if you go for an interview at a corporate and you tell them any of that three things, the chances of you getting a job in South Africa is zero. Because as much as corporate South Africa claims to be wanting to develop, they really don't, because they're only looking after their own interests and the interests of the shareholders. So what we've done is we developed a program with partners like Hands of Honor, where we will teach you, as an example, to build woodwork skills, right? And that woodwork skills, you can then create your own income, or you can stay part of our project and we then purchase the kits from you and we donate it to an education center so that we can build some sort of economy. Because we realize that, especially in our communities, unemployable youth makes up about 45% of our communities.
Wow.
But we want to complain about gangsterism, we want to complain about drugs, we want to complain about housebreaking. But what are we actually doing about it other than complain on Facebook? We're not taking those kids and asking them, what do you want to be? None of them wants to be a gangster. None of them wants to, okay, maybe there is exceptions. The vast majority don't want to be gangsters. They don't want to be drug addicts. They don't want to break into your house with the risk of going to jail. But when they're hungry, what choice do they have? So when you give them the choice of a skill, and they can go out and use that skill and make 60 Rand a day, the pride it brings into them, the pride it brings into the household, and the pride it brings into the community is, you can't explain that, because they can go home with the bread and they can say, Mommy, ek het gewerk vir die brood. Ek het nie die brood gesteel nie. Just that pride. But until corporate South Africa changes their attitude towards employing unemployable youth, sadly, the issues around drugs, gangsterism, and theft will never vanish. It's not just going to disappear. We need programs. So that's our youth programs. And it's linked very much around, like I said, trying to build entrepreneurs instead of trying to build slaves to a boss. It's built very much around becoming a part of society in a whole, around gender-based violence, around just being proud of being where you're from.
That is so true.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love when you touch on the cooperation between the different partners that you have, and just listening to you, you can see how that vision sort of taking shape, and then the things that you do. You can just see this, because I absolutely love this. But also, I just want to draw your attention to, if you've just watching, if you've just joined us, well, you know, brilliant. You've missed out on probably what I would describe as the moment, having Ian Miller with us this morning. But also, we've got one or two questions or comments that I just want to touch base on as well. And this one reads from Hubert Pauls, who says, one of the marvelous things about community buy-in is that it enables us to help people in a way we couldn't as an individuals, which is really what you have been saying. Which is really what you've been saying from the beginning, getting people to sort of work together. Hubert goes on to say, people are passionate. People with passion can make the impossible happen. And Ian, I'm telling you that speaks exactly to what you're doing, because listening to you, putting that perspective on, and it is so important for us to hear that.
Oh yeah.
Because you wouldn't know.
That's so
If you
true.
don't hear this.
Yeah, and Ian, you know what? I'm just listening to you, and you're talking about the corporate out there, and I think that is so important, because that's exactly what I mean. Obviously, I'm affiliated with Nickay, is what we have done with interns, where you know what, you need to prepare them, because you know what, we do find that these youth are coming and they're not getting experience, because every time they get told you need experience, and obviously automatically that youth get put back, and they feel that demotivated because of the fact that there's not opportunities being created. And I think the corporates out there need to look at this and get these interns in, because at the end of the day, you as a corporate are educating that youth to enter the workplace and giving them that experience and actually giving them work etiquette and you know what is expected from you at work, because we as the corporates are the only ones that can actually show them this. And because these youth are coming from school, and I mean, I spoke yesterday again to my son and my family regarding you know, at school we actually need to start teaching the basics at school on you know, life out there, doing your taxes, you know, concentrating more on that. And I'm sorry, I get very passionate about this as well. And I do feel that corporates out there need to make that difference as well, because these kids are coming from school and coming from varsities even, and they actually just don't have the experience. They don't know what it is to actually work in the workplace.
And most people are put in a school environment where they got no interest in what is being taught.
That's so true. That's so true.
So we need to create these opportunities for them.
Most certainly we have to. Also, we just want to say hi to Deirdre Foster, who's watching us on Facebook as well. Morning, Deirdre. Thank you very much. Saying loving everything, and big ups to Siyazana Youth Development Fund. From Hubert, it also says, I like the attitude of opportunity doesn't come knocking, build the door, which is really what you're doing. But Ian, just listening to you now, I just want to move back a little moment to what you mentioned earlier. You mentioned Hands of Honor as one of the partners that you have. Do you have other partners, and how important is it to have that sort of collaboration? How important is that to have that sort of teamwork?
I think one of the faults of the NPO environment is that we all believe we are island on our own, and we all believe we are personally meant to change the world.
Oh my word.
Which is impossible. Without collaborations, without partnerships, it's never going to happen. And our skill within Siyazana, we don't have early childhood development skills. So what is we partner with people who's got those skills. We don't have, I can't teach someone to become a carpenter. What we take from carpentry? You know, that's, but understand the need. So we partner with people who can do that. And again, we find that when collaborations happen, people want to be the main collaborator. With us, we don't care, because the beneficiary should be the only thing that matters. So if you become the main collaborator and we become your subsidiary partner, we don't care, as long as the beneficiary is getting the outcome that is required. And I think we all need to change our minds with that, our mindsets with that is concerned. It's not about us. It's about our beneficiaries. And once it becomes about the beneficiary, it becomes easy to collaborate. So we've got collaborations with every community in which we work. Siyazana is never the core partner. We're always a secondary partner, whether we're the funding partner, the skills partner, it's irrelevant. But it's important that communities know that we are a secondary partner to the organization that's based in their community. That is vital for us, that the organizations in the communities need to get the credit for the work that they're doing.
And You know what? I could be listening to you for hours with just saying that. I could be listening to you for hours, which is very, very important. And with us, of course, Ian Miller. So, Ian, there's so many questions I want to ask you, but I know you wrote something down. She's got an important question as well.
So for me, I mean, I'm listening to all of this, and so where are you guys operating from? Because it sounds just like, I mean, Swellendam, you said all these areas that was being covered. So where are you guys operating from?
Okay, so we operate from a house. We operate actually from our place, which is in Fairways. Again, so that we don't have to pay rent. So I have to pay the rent. I have to pay the data. so that is my gift for founding the organization, is that it costs me money every month. Right from Fairways, but that we've just got an office here. We, like I said, we operate throughout the Western Cape and in various communities. But our core, let's say, core office. I hate using that word, but it's basically in Fairways from my home. And again, it's just so that when we get donations, the money can go to the project and not to rent of a fancy office in a fancy suburb. That's about it. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. And then I just wanted to ask as well, because you mentioned the fact that, you do training for the youth as well. So obviously that's external companies, or is that external communities that's actually doing this training?
Correct. So again, we partner. So we would, just an example, we would link someone who donate 4,000 Rand to us. We would then go to an organization where they do woodwork skills. We would then build an ECD kit. We would pay for it. So although we partner with you, we would still pay you full for the kit. We then take the kit and we donate it to an educare center. So there's a double impact. So your 4,000 Rand that you donated to us helps us with our youth skill development, because we use that to plow in. The person making the kit then gets paid a wage or a stipend. We then take the product that you produce and we put it into one of our ECD projects, and then the kids, they benefit from it. So your one donation has a double impact. It reaches more people.
And I love the ripple effect on that, because that in essence is what teamwork is: collaborating, working together. This is where it's got to go to. This is, and I got to be honest, because we've spoken to more than one NPO and an NGO and a lot of people in this sort of sphere that you operate on. But the passion that you really embody and talk about with that, I always find is the one thing that is the next level. That is the level you got to be operating on, and it is absolutely fantastic to hear. You talking about that, of course. And we're going to talk about fundraising. We're going to talk about how difficult it is, and then of course within a COVID space, it's probably it's already difficult. Let alone put COVID into the mix as well. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like you really needed another challenge, and we're going to get to that in a short little bit. So with all this work that you've done, you must have a lot of success stories, and I suppose when there is a queue. When there is a queue at an educare center and it's more people tomorrow than it is today, that also speaks to the success that you have achieved there. But it also speaks to a bigger amount, to a greater need.
Yeah, and again, it's strange, because for us, yes, there's a lot of success. And I mean, an example is in Parkwood, the Genesis project. We were one day sitting at our annual Christmas thing that they have here in Fairways, and we had these kids playing drums, but all the drums were broken. And I couldn't understand how these kids were playing on broken drums. We then made a decision to buy them an entire new drum kit, which we got right, and we bought the drum kit. And last year, they played with the Cape Philharmonic Orchestra in a show. And you sitting there, the crowd, seeing these kids from Parkwood playing on this big stage with the things that you bought, which a year ago were all broken. So, those are the stories that we've we see as achievements. We've got one of our beneficiaries is currently a music director for one of the biggest Cape Town jazz bands. We we just love those stories because it's small things you do. And like I said, it's like a ripple effect that has this huge effect on a community where you see this development firsthand and you just sit there and, you cry a bit and you come home and you start again.
Yeah, sure. No, I love that. I think it is an absolutely wonderful story, and it just speaks to immense success. It really is. We just want to get one or two messages on again as well. That and this is something that Hubert Paul, who is watching, have just sent through, and we just want to. I want to give you this message as well. And what he says is, hallelujah to collaboration for non-profit. And he goes on to say, Henry Ford once said, coming together is the beginning, staying together is a process, and working together is success. Now, I don't know where Hubert just got that.
He's brilliant.
He is. I'm telling you, he's probably talking between us and Henry Ford at the moment, because that is exactly what it is. I mean, I couldn't, I like to think of myself as a wordsmith, I couldn't put it better. But that is just phenomenal. And that's exactly what you guys do. Yes, Rhoda.
Yeah, I see, is it Carmelita Davis? Well done, Siyazana YDF, and Ian and Natasha Miller. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lot of compliments coming your way, Ian, because looking where we are now, it is COVID hits. How did it change the way that you operated? Let's talk about that quickly, Ian. COVID comes, it's March 2020, a time we'd all like to forget. All of a sudden, you got to operate very differently, and now we're in July 2021. We're still kind of in the same way. How did that change your day-to-day operation?
Well, it changed it drastically because the need in the community became a priority. And the need in the communities was just to have something to eat. And we basically, like I said, went into the communities then in partnerships with our ECD partners. And we managed to have almost an immediate base that we could distribute food into. Fundraising, which I know you said would come into, became interesting. But we found that we went from an organization that maybe catered for, I would say, 2,000 to 3,000 people a year to an organization that catered for 2,000 to 3,000 people a day.
Sure.
And it put serious strain on us. I mean, there were many nights. You guys were fortunate to see Natasha prior to that because she's basically my brains. Many nights of us sitting on a floor crying because you're getting these messages from communities asking for help, saying children are not eating, and you can do about it because you're limited in your funding. And again, I need to thank my board for that because I immediately messaged them. I said, guys, this is our key focus. It is cognitive development. But the need has drastically changed, and we're seeing the funds are not coming into our communities that we work. Please, can we release the funds? And within 10 minutes, there was a unanimous decision to release all our funds, everything we had in reserve to feed people. And with the grace, we are still here today. We could have bankrupted ourselves within the first week of COVID. But it's only by grace that we're here. Or else we would have been gone.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Ian, I you know what? You can't see it, but my hair's on edge here. And you know what? I'm listening to you, and my breath is really away. I got to be honest. You know what? This is really one of those real moments listening to what you said. And I just quickly want to refer to a comment as well, because I want to get into, and I want you just to think about it, because we saw that message flash on the screen as well, and how difficult it is to raise funds. And of course we know now, because we saw the message, that you guys are definitely planning a golf day, amongst other things. So, but I also want to just tell you this quickly. And Benita Southgate, thank you so much for watching. Benita says, well done, Ian Miller, Natasha Miller. Your passion is so evident, and more grace and blessings to you and to everybody that is collaborating with the Siyazana Youth Fund. You know what? And our sentiments is with you there, spot on. Absolutely. So, Ian, looking at the broad picture, you have these moments where you sitting on the floor, like you say, and you're thinking, where are we going to get funds? Because only the more funds you have, you can do so much. But I suppose, as any household, we all know this, all of a sudden when the resources become limited, you come up with innovative ways to stretch, right? We all know that. As in Afrikaans, is a nice saying, the pap is net dun. That's all it is. But obviously raising funds, this is what makes you tick. And with your passion, your kind of commitment, your endeavor, all of those things, the more funds, you can continue with these great things. So tell us a little bit about how you're going to raise funds, and more specifically about your golf day you were planning as well.
Okay, so I'll start with the golf day, because that's the only time I get something free from Siyazana. I get to drive a golf cart. Our eighth one, and historically, it was our key fundraiser. And really, it was our only fundraiser because we didn't need more money. We made money off the golf day. Am I allowed to mention corporates? I have to mention Grand Slots, who has been very committed to Siyazana for the last 2, 3, in fact longer, 4, 5 years. And so we had one big golf day, and our friends and family would support the organization. We were sub 150,000 Rand organization for the first 7 years, and we were very happy with that. We were buying and it was good because we all had other things we were doing. And suddenly everything changed. We're now a 800,000 Rand organization, and our beneficiary base went, like I said, to 3,000 a month to we're reaching 1 million this month. We would have reached 1 millionth beneficiary. So the organization itself had to explode with any planning, any idea of what you were doing. And again, it started with our friends and family. So the day we were sitting on the floor, we sent a WhatsApp message to all our friends and family. We said, guys, this is what we're thinking. We don't have the money to do it, but we're going to do it. And people started contributing a ton of baked beans, 100 Rand, a blanket, and the things started coming in. And immediately we started distributing. And as people saw we distributed, they started giving more. We're at the point now where we can make a nutritional meal for under 1 Rand. So 1,000 Rand can feed 1,000 people. And we also do what we like calling hot dog runs, because we understand, the kids don't want to eat mini meal every day. Every day they get pumped. And this is the reality. And I know if I have a steak tonight, I don't want a steak tomorrow night. So what about these kids who's having to eat mini meal every day because only food they get? So what we do is a hot dog run. And we go out and we buy 1,000 hot dogs, and we go into a community and we have a queue and we give those kids hot dogs. And what we didn't realize, that for a lot of those kids, it's the first time they ever had a hot dog in their life. And that is something, it's like I don't know how this is going to sound, but we try and spoil ourselves once a month by doing a hot dog run. So although we're not getting the hot dogs, it just does something.
Sure.
You're going to make us cry here, Ian.
Ian.
Shame, man.
I get you with that, man. I get you with that. And it does something more than any word can ever explain. And I like the thing you said about somebody would donate a ton of baked beans, because Sometimes there is that misconception. There is no, and when I say measure, there's no act of kindness that is too small.
Too small.
Correct.
So
Do you know what? And it is not an act, it's a duty. And especially just from our side, you don't mind me saying this, from our side, I would like to say, you know what, we really, as a corporate, you need to get with the party now, get with the program. It is that simple. It is no longer just something you do because you try and be relevant. It is now your duty. We are long past everything else now. We are long past everything else. So Ian, if somebody wants to be involved with a golf day, how they want to purchase a 4-ball or be part of it, how do they go about all of that?
Okay, so I think it did come up earlier, so you can contact us on 076 150 411. And just to mention, there's only 3 4-balls left.
Okay.
4 ball lives.
Yeah, 3 4-balls left. Although the golf days are now October, but if you want to get involved to donate a prize, and again, it can be anything from 1 item to 4 items, or we got a goodie bag. We can put in marketing items. Those are more than welcome, or something we could auction on the day. You're more than welcome to contact us. It's on our Facebook page as well. It's on our web page as well. So yeah, we're blessed with our golf day in that we have it at Westlake. The charge is 3,000 Rand, which includes your round of golf, your lunch, your braai. We one of the only golf days you have a braai. Also, it's after how to say that. Now,
Yes.
we're South African, so you don't go. Just give people a braai. People want a braai. So, and you know, we have about 6 watering holes, so it's a real fun day. It's designed for people who can't play golf. The people who come at the bottom of the scorecard normally win the best prizes. So yeah, it's a fun day. It's just a day to have fun and enjoy ourselves.
I like that. I like that. And of course, if anybody wants to find out all the details, they are, I'm sure, and we're going to definitely give out your website again. But they can just contact you as well. And there we have all the details on the screen as well. So that number again, 076 150 4811. And yes, and then in Miller, which is Natasha Miller at Siyazana.org.za is how they could get in touch. And also, if people had to go to your website, they will find out everything about it. So only 3 4-balls left, is that it?
That's right.
That's
At the end of October, Westlake Golf Club?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ian, I've just been shown a little flag on that side. So we at Mahala will be taking one of the 4 balls, so you can put our names down for that.
Thanks.
That's
Thanks,
definitely.
guys.
So now you got 2 left here.
Yeah, you've got 2 left.
We got 2 left.
Yes.
Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate it.
Nah,
It's only a
absolutely.
pleasure.
Only a pleasure, only a pleasure. We will send people to play. As they say, my handicap is golf and road. So
But
We're
that's the
saving
point.
people.
Most people who play nowadays, it's the only time they play golf in the year.
that's how it rolls, Baba. That's how it's going to
So
be.
come on, join us.
We'll come and show our pretty faces. How's that? For support.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks,
Ian, and
Ian.
in terms from that, obviously donations, like you said, doesn't matter if it's a tin of baked beans, if it is a cash donation of sorts, or clothes, or whatever somebody is sitting with, just for your day-to-day operations, of course. Can they just find all the details on your website?
They can, or like I said, on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
They can call us again on 076 150 4811.
Yes.
And we've got drop-off points in Mitchell's Plain, in the northern suburbs, southern suburbs, or we collect. So you don't even need to stress about that. We can come pick it up, or you can drop it off at one of our drop-off points. And pre-loved things, again, I'm going to say something that don't give us a broken toilet. You know,
Yeah.
No, I hear
So
you.
true.
I hear you.
you know, it's deep. And again, it's everyone's got something in the cupboard that they
So
don't
true.
Yeah.
need it. And we distributed yesterday. We went to James Boss. Just had that big fire, and we distributed clothing. So anything, toys, yeah, stationery. We actually building a library in Parkwood, believe it or not. So so anything, food, financial, again, our golf day. If you a corporate but you don't have money to donate, go into your storeroom, see what there is. There can be anything that we can use as an auction item. Yeah, anything really. We're not
Yeah. And
stuck.
and you know what? I was actually going to ask you, given the time that we're in, if there was something that is of specific, more important need than, let's say, something else. And I was actually going to ask you that, you know, if there's a greater demand for the one thing or the other thing. But I suppose common sense is really the one thing, because considering the climate we're in currently now, considering the restrictions with COVID, so it is important if anybody, and you probably won't mind me saying this, I'm just doing my own thing here, but if somebody would like to give you anything, and especially something you can distribute for use, that it speaks to the time. You know what I mean? It's a lot colder now, and please, and I concur with 100% with what you said. Make sure, you know, something you can still use. Don't give a broken thing. Nobody's got time now to go fix a thing as well. You know, if it's broken, throw it away.
Yes.
That's it. Throw it away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't bring your junk
agreed.
there.
Now, Ian, you know what? I am questioned out.
So true.
I really, really am. And also, it has been one of the very few times on Mahala Monday that we've had such an emotional discussion.
Oh, yes, totally.
From my side, at least. And you've emoted me out.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
No,
true.
it
But well
simply
done
is.
to you, Ian and Natasha. Well done.
Yeah. Ian, and from our side as well, we want to wish you all the strength and all the blessings and all the grace and the amazing vision that you have and the amazing compassion that you have. May it long continue, because when you started off to work with a youth, with especially early childhood development, gone into youth development, and all of a sudden there's so many roads that have linked in with your road now. I mean, you are doing so many things. So long. It pains me to say, in an ideal society, there should be no need for a Siyazana.
They shouldn't.
There shouldn't be. But our society is so much better because of you.
Because of you.
Thank you.
Because of you. So,
We appreciate it, and again, thanks for the opportunity. It's, yeah, we feel blessed.
I'm glad.
no, and hopefully you remain blessed, sir, and we know you will.
Thank you.
We trust. So that is Ian Miller. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Wow.
And I'm going to find it difficult to say goodbye to you. So I'm going to ask you this before I go. I always ask people this. Do you have any questions for Rhoda?
No.
Because she's got a lot of answers, man. She's the one who told you she's taking a 4-ball.
No, just really, guys, you won't understand how much we appreciate it. So, yeah, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Yeah, just for the exposure, for the opportunity. And I'm almost feeling like this was meant, because I feel like I needed to vent a bit.
There we go. There we go.
And I needed to vent with new people. So you were so yeah, thanks for the opportunity. And yeah, everyone, just like our Facebook page, and you can see what we're doing all the time. Thanks so much.
It's only a pleasure, Ian.
Thank you, Ian. Ian Miller, Siyazana Youth Development Fund, everybody. Rhoda, there you have it.
Oh, yeah.
His passion. And we got to mention it, because we mentioned his wife in this as well,
Natasha.
as well. You got to say this. Their passion is incredible.
Incredible, Dougal.
It is really beyond compare. But it doesn't. And when I say their passion, let me just remind you what he said there at the beginning of the interview. This is not about him.
It's not about him.
This guy founded this thing.
That is so
said,
true.
okay, wait, to make this thing above board, to show you the authenticity of this, I step aside. Let me get an independent board. I don't want to have signed checks. I don't want to do anything of this. Now,
I just want to be the volunteer.
Yeah, I've never heard of somebody who founds an organization to do good work steps out and like, I don't want anything.
Yeah,
That,
so true.
have
Take
you
my hat
heard
off
that?
to you, Ian. Well
Have
done.
you heard about that?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And then listening to the discussion we have, and you could see the emotion. In fact, you got emotional, which kind of
Ooh.
got me going.
Got us going. Well done.
Yeah, it is definitely what it is. And it is so important for us. And you know what? And I want to say this again, and it might sound like I'm going on here, but it is no longer just something you do for the sake of doing. It is beyond your duty now. This is what we got to do. We got to really change the way we've been doing things for a long time. We got to collaborate. We got to work together.
And
that
to
is
make a
what it's all
difference.
about.
So
And
true.
on that note, I
Yes.
just want to say thank you once again to Ian for sharing that story. But on that note as well, very, very important, do not forget, go to Siyazana.org, www.siyazana.org, or check them out on Facebook, find out more about them, and definitely get involved with them. Now, the 12th and the 16th of this month,
That's right.
that is super, super important because we here at Mahala Monday, in collaboration with For Humanity, are going to do exactly what we've just heard and just witnessed. These are the shows we've got planned.
Oh, yeah.
These are the shows we want to do. This is how we want to change society, our community, for the better.
For the better.
And if I might quote a guest, nobody wants to steal, nobody wants to suffer, nobody wants to do drugs or be in a gang. Everybody wants to do well. And that is Ian Miller, who just said it.
Yeah.
So, 12th, 16th, a couple of days before International Nelson Mandela Day. What do people do, Rhoda?
Yeah, so just get in contact with us. It's at, you can get us onto our Nickay Productions on our Facebook, and then we will host you on Mahala Monday, where we will then, as we've done with Ian, showcase you basically on how you can make a difference in the community. So get in contact with us. You can go onto our website, or as you can see there, YouTube or Facebook, and then get in contact with us. And then we make arrangements from there to get you onto our show. So, but hurry guys, because we really want to get your stories out there before the International Mandela Day.
Yeah, and especially with that build-up. So whatever you've been doing in the
Oh, yeah.
community, let's talk about
Let's
it. Because
talk
the
about
more
it.
talking, we see a greater need. And of course, we come to solutions a lot. And this is really about educating people who's not doing what you're doing.
And then also, sorry, Dougal, and then for the corporates out there, for those guys that's actually doing the donations, we want to showcase you as well, because
Yes.
nothing like this can happen without
Yes.
you sponsoring at the end of the day, or putting in that extra time and saying, I will sponsor you, I will assist you where I can. So you guys as well.
Yeah, you know what? I actually want to say something that's a little bit naughty, it's a little bit controversial, but I'm going to say it as well. As a corporate, and I keep saying this is your duty. And take it from me right now. I don't want to be involved or go to any business or anything when I don't know they're on the forefront of trying to change society. And I'm saying this in my personal capacity. So there it is. And sadly, as a business, as a corporate, you can be shunned. Let me just tell you straight up. You can be shunned if you don't do it. So please, join us. Let's collaborate. Yeah, it's been an emotional day. It's been an emotional interview. It is.
It has been. I see our Hubert friend popped up there. So, and the question is asking, because I think because of the fact that we are doing the Mandela Day in collaboration with For Humanity, he wants to know, but like a couple of times we've now mentioned, he says, we have heard the new name For Humanity a couple of times now. Who are they? So I think best thing for everybody, this is the build up to exactly the 12th to the 16th of July, which is Mahala Monday. Stick with us. Watch the shows, get in contact with us, and you'll be able to find out exactly who For Humanity is.
Yeah, definitely do that. And a lot more will be revealed for you all in due course. But the one thing I can add to that is that it is about working together, and it is about making a positive, sustainable difference, as we all must do, as we see as our duty. Rhoda, that is it from me. Thank you very much for all the comments, for all the questions. Thank you very much for watching this broadcast of Mahala Monday. Do not forget, between the 12th and the 16th, we're here at Mahala Monday. We'll be broadcasting every day. It will be Mahala Monday on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And of course, we're really looking forward to that. But as Rhoda said, of course, info at Nickay Productions, definitely get in touch with us. If you've got suggestions, you've got questions, you want to donate and collaborate, of course, please get in touch with us so we can showcase all of that. Once again, from our side, thank you very much to Ian Miller for joining us this morning, and Siyazana, and we wish you all the best, sir, to you and everybody involved. That is it from me, Dougal.
That's it from me, Rhoda. Have a fabulous week.
Like and share this video.
Don't forget.
That's your duty now. Cheers.